All right, where do I start from? I just finished watching What If episode 3 actually last week now, and then I'm reviewing it now. I mean, it's not that late, but let's just let's just go with this. First of all, I'll let you know this video will have some spoilers, and let's talk about this. So, first thing first, to say the least, when I watched this episode, I have to say it was very unexpected, and what I mean by unexpected is the plot in general was so unexpected given what it was all about. And if you may have watched it, you probably know that it was about all the, well, not all of them, but four significant members of the Avengers who were formed in the Avengers 1, who were part of the original Avengers movie actually die before even they could be formed. Like Nick Fury had his plan, has an extraordinary idea of forming this group of remarkable characters, the Avengers, to protect the Earth. And before he could form them, they die, which is super unexpected. Like just just thinking of the whole thing, like I never really expected them to be that vulnerable, and here we are, them dying, starting with Iron Man. But I certainly like the scenes, the particular scenes they use from each of their movies. So from Iron and the scene where Iron Man dies, and that scene was actually from the donut scene, or that scene was actually the donut scene from Iron Man 2, if you remember. Like there's a scene where he's sitting on that big donut. Then Nick Fury asks him, "Sir, I'm going to ask you to exit the donuts." And they both meet at the cafe, and then they're talking to each other about the Avenger, about joining the Avengers. Well, Nick Fury is the one asking him about joining the Avengers. And similarly, there's a scene from Thor 1 where Thor is lifting his hammer and Hawkeye is about to shoot him with an arrow. And this was also very interesting. And the scene from Incredible Hulk where Bruce Banner is stuck on this bridge, which is part of this library. I think it was Harvard. No, not Harvard. It was in Virginia. My bad. Where the where Thunderbolt Ross comes and tries to attack him. If you remember the scene from Incredible Hulk, and all these three scenes are used in to kill off these characters, and it was very smart how they killed them off. So, for example, when it came to Iron Man, Tony Stark, he's talking to Nick Fury, and in Iron Man 2, he was actually having this palladium poisoning. Like he had this metal he was using for the arc reactor that was actually killing him. And in order to reduce the poisoning, Black Widow injects him with this sort of drug, I would say. And from there, the character who kills him was very interesting. I'm gonna come to that later. But then even Thor also, there's a scene where in that the scene where he's trying to pick up the hammer, but that time he cannot because he's not worthy. His powers got stripped away from him, so he could learn his lesson by well, that's what Odin wanted. He wanted him to learn his lesson, so he strips away his powers, so he's not the god anymore in the scene. And it was exactly in this scene where Hawkeye is trying to shoot him with an arrow, but he didn't want to shoot the arrow. He had no intention to shoot the arrow, but in someone else, the same person who killed Tony Stark, made Hawkeye shoot the arrow towards Thor and thus killed Thor. And the same character, the same person who kills Hawkeye, who kills Thor, kills Hawkeye as well. Once Hawkeye gets arrested for being for being framed for killing Thor. And finally, the same character kills off Bruce Banner. So the character who kills off all these four Avengers is no one else but Hank Pym, which was the most surprising part because the whole, not just the fact that they chose Hank Pym in particular to kill all the Avengers, but he seriously we never really saw any connection between him and the Avengers in any of the Marvel movies, in the live action Marvel movies. But then it was Hank Pym who had to be the one to kill all of them. But then his reason for that was even more shocking because I never expected for someone Marvel to come up with an idea like that. And the whole idea was because his daughter Hope Van Dyne dies. That's why she has to. Well, he wants to avenge her death, and the reason why she dies is because she had to sacrifice her life as a Shield agent, which was very shocking because I never expected Hope to be part of Shield, to be an agent in Shield. I mean, she does good things, try to save the world along with Scott Lang in the Ant-Man movies, but never expected her to be a Shield agent. But then because she died, Pym had to avenge her death, so he tried to take revenge on Nick Fury, who was the founder of, well, not founder, but like kind of like the head of Shield at that time. He's the one like managing Shield. I think founder. I don't know. I'll check that again. But yeah, and then his suit was very interesting, to be honest, because his suit was a bit of Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket at the same time, because similar to Yellow Jacket, he had tentacles and he could fly, and the color of his suit was yellow, but then like his helmet was more like Ant-Man's helmet, which was very interesting. I mean, kind of creative in a way, I would say. But the fight scene between Nick Fury and Hank Pym, like initially I was thinking to myself, yo, what's going on? Like, how is Nick Fury able to like beat him that easily? When he can easily like shrink and like fly through him or something like that. Then I realized that he actually made a deal with the devil, and that was none other than Loki, who had actually come to Earth to avenge Thor's death. But then he realized that it was actually not Nick. It was not Nick Fury who was the one who killed off Thor, but actually it was Hank Pym. And so he was the perfect person to help Nick Fury beat Hank Pym, in my opinion. So that was smart. But then the final ending was the most shocking to me, just to see how Loki was now on Earth. So he really had the opportunity to actually conquer Earth and like rule over Earth, because the Avengers are dead, especially three of the most powerful Avengers: Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk, and all three of them are dead. So I was very curious to see what would happen to the fate of the world with Loki on Earth now. But then at the end, I realized, oh no, there's still Captain America, Steve Rogers. What happened to him? And that's exactly when they show Nick Fury going to the ice where he was frozen in, where he and his shield were frozen in, and that's where like Nick Fury, decides to actually bring him back to life in a way. I mean, he wasn't dead, but like like kind of like unfreeze the ice and bring him back, like wake him up basically. And then behind him came none other than Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. So that way you had both the captains at the same time in the same place, in the same scene. About Carol Danvers, given the fact that she's so powerful, like probably even the most powerful character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, maybe Witch might be more powerful than her, Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, but still she's really that powerful. Like she's probably the most powerful, especially she's definitely more powerful than Thor and Hulk, I believe. And that means it's possible that if she were to fight with Loki, that would be interesting, because a fight between her and Loki would be something new. Like just seeing how the fight would pan out, like how they both are going to fight against each other. Like one can really fly really fast, whereas one had like magical powers. That would be interesting to see. But yeah, that would have been exciting to see how she fights with Loki. But that's when the episode ends, so we don't really see any of that. But overall, I would say this episode wasn't bad, wasn't the best, but the story was something out of the box. I'll say that. I'll give that. It was outside of box, given the choice of the characters and just the whole idea of the story of killing of the Avengers, and making Hank Pym the one to kill all of them, which was a very like unexpected choice. So in a way, it was very unique, but at the same time, it wasn't. I mean, I wouldn't say it was bad, but I would say just the characters, just the whole idea of like killing of the Avengers was something very surprising in a way, or that's something like makes you like want to question like what's going to happen to the future of the world. So in that way, this episode was pretty good in my opinion. It wasn't really bad. So far, I would say What If has been going pretty well. Hasn't disappointed at all. So let's see what happens in the next few episodes of What If. Until next time, I'll see you later.